But my beats, they are hard.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sportwrap. Bryan and A.D. Drew here, and joining us, good friend of the show, my man, my other my other partner in the broadcast booth. When I'm fortunate enough to do color commentating at Edward Waters games, that's Mr. Joshua Jackson, the voice of Edward Waters College and Sports Information Director. Josh, good to see you, brother.
Bryan, A.D, Happy New Year to you guys. Long time no speak, man. How's everything going?
Everything's going fine on my end, Josh. And got a question I got to ask you on a personal level.
All right.
I've been following you on your Facebook page and the weight loss thing that you're doing. Kind of tell everybody about that and what made you decide to do it and the progress that you're making.
Well, in June, I unfortunately got contracted COVID. Just a very, very tough situation. Went to the doctor, and they were just like, "Yeah, well, you got COVID and things like that. That's fine. You'll be fine. But looking at your weight, you're looking at about 377 pounds. I'm going to need you to get that in order because right now your blood pressure is sky high, and when they're talking to things about it's a possibility you could get up out of here. I'm just like, hey, I got a little bit more work to do. I'm not ready to check out yet. So I got with a personal trainer. I've been really eating right, getting better. I've lost about 50 pounds so far. So just want to keep it going. And I'm thankful for that kind of wake-up call. God kind of gives everybody certain wake-up calls and certain signals and certain signs like, hey, you might want to get that in check. So thankfully I heeded those warnings. I'm thankful for the pounds that I've lost, and there's a lot more work left to do.
Well, I've got an extra large shirt that's too big for me, and I and when you get down to it, you can have it, my brother.
I appreciate it.
Well, definitely, congratulations, Josh. I see that all the time, and I haven't actually acted, but you keep inspiring me every now and then. I may have to join it. I'm like, man, Josh putting them numbers out there. I'm like, man, that's bold. I threw away every scale in the house that I ever had. So I'm just like, I don't want to see it.
Hey man, the more the merrier. The more the merrier.
So look, we got a lot of things going on, and I mean, obviously there's sports being played, and it's been challenging for every school, even at the lower division 2 NAIA, and obviously all the fall sports at Edward Waters were, I don't know if, I always wonder if the right word is cancel or postponed. So I mean, we'll just say cancel, postponed, and but you've been able to successfully start the winter as the men and women's basketball season is going. Give us, from your perspective, being out of school and NAIA, a smaller school, what the past few months have been like for you personally, maybe the staff, even what you've seen and in your conversations with coaches and student athletes. Just take people a little bit behind the scenes at your school and how things have progressed, and just people's thoughts and emotions.
Well, the one thing I can say is that it's different. It's different. There are a lot of things that you have to get used to, and you have to be willing to embrace change. Unfortunately, this virus is dictating a lot of our everyday lives and the things that we're accustomed to doing. Edward Waters is not immune to that. There are certain things that we had to do from an athletics standpoint to really, be able to get to this point where we can be able to play games. We did have a season that was completed in the fall. Our cross-country teams were able to compete, so they did run a few meets and they did compete in the conference championships. We are going to send one runner, Jordan Bell, to the NAIA championships here that'll be held in the spring in cross country. So we were able to do that. Men's and women's basketball has been going on for about a month and change now. Now in the midst of their Gulf Coast Athletic Conference season, we're having to shift some sports into the spring. Football is going to play a few games in the spring there with us, and we're going to have baseball and softball are going to be opening up their seasons here in the next few weeks. Our indoor men's and women's track and field teams will be the first time that Edward Waters has had indoor men's and women's track and field. They'll be opening up. They'll have their first meets this coming Saturday in South Carolina at the University of South Carolina there in Columbia. So we've got that going on. So yeah, just about all of our sports. Women's soccer will be playing a few games. Our new women's soccer program, we're playing a few games here this spring. So there's a lot of things, a lot of change that's been happening, but it's been changed for the better, and you just have to be receptive to it and do the best you can. And of course, we've got great leadership with our president, Dr. Zachary Faison, and our athletic director, Dr. Paul Bryant. I've got a great staff that works with us. We all work together to try to make this thing work. We've got tremendous student athletes. So we've been able to really weather a lot of storms that other programs may, have issues weathering, but we've been able to weather it. And for the most part, thankfully, to the good Lord, and knock on every piece of wood you possibly can, we've been able to come out on the other side pretty good.
How much of being able to do things do you think is maybe a product of leadership versus, or maybe in conjunction with maybe the state? Obviously, you're in the state of Florida. Edward Waters is in Jacksonville, Florida, and I live in Orlando, so I'm familiar. Our state is one of the more, as I like to say, open states in the country. Even though we are not immune to COVID, don't let anybody fool you. We are not immune no matter what's going on. How much of all of that factors in the fact that we see sports and activities going on around us? We see high school games and things like that being played, professional. We see people still going to beaches and things of that nature. I mean, what?
Y'all got the Super Bowl in another month down in the state of Florida.
Yeah. So, I mean, how much of being able to play is maybe a product of location? How much you just chalk up to, good leadership, good communication?
I think really for us at Edward Waters, it really just boils down to phenomenal leadership. It really, really does. And of course, with everything that's going on at the state level with our governors and respective mayors and things like that, I think the fact that we've got phenomenal leadership at Edward Waters with Dr. Faison and Dr. Bryant, with some of the COVID protocols and things like that allow us to be able to play these games and do the things that we need to do with our great athletic trainer and Larry Bell. Being able to have all that working together, have a cohesive plan that we've been able to function to a T. If one player contracts the virus, we shut everything down. We shut the entire program down for a certain period of time until everything goes through and passes through. And luckily we've been able to avoid big bouts with it and things like that. Of course, we've had our issues here and there, but we've got a great plan, and we've been able to really exercise that to the best of our abilities. And really, we've been coming out well on the other side as well. So I think really it boils down to, with everything that's gone on here in the state, we've got some great leadership here with our respective institutions. Duval County Public Schools has a great athletic director, and Dr. Tammy Talley. She's been able to do some great things with the sports that have been going on at the high school level with boys and girls basketball, and a great football season that we just completed a few weeks ago. So I think it really boils down to visionary leadership, great leadership, being able to have a plan and be able to exercise it to a T, and we've been able to come out pretty well.
All right, Josh, give us an update on the on the facility projects that you guys have going on there. Got the new stadium. Initially, it was got behind schedule because of COVID, but not playing in the fall probably has helped you guys catch up tremendously. You had some upgrades to the Adams Jenkins Center, which is where you guys play basketball. So kind of give us basketball and volleyball. We can't leave the volleyball team out. Just give us kind of an update on the athletic facility improvements that are going on there at Edward Waters.
Everything is moving very, very well. We are about 85 to 90% completion with our new on-campus football stadium, which is going to be fantastic for the community. It'll be the first time in over 150 years that Edward Waters has been around that Edward Waters will have a football facility on campus that will not only house our football program, but also our women's soccer program, as well as has some marks on there. So some other athletic events can be played potentially in lacrosse, down the road, that sort of thing. So you have those options there. We've got still some things to do there to stay and to get it to full completion. But the hope is that here by the time that spring season eventually comes around, and hopefully we'll be able to release our spring schedule here very, very soon, everything will be at completion. We'll be able to utilize that and be able to do the things that we need to do there with the stadium. It looks beautiful. I highly advise social distance being what it is. Drive by the stadium, take a look at it. It is absolutely gorgeous. What the guys have been able to do, what they've been able to do really in a small period of time with such a big project like this has been nothing short of phenomenal. So it's definitely something that we're very, very proud of there at EWC. I lovingly call it it's going to be our crown jewel of EWC athletics. So we're very, very excited about that. As you mentioned a few moments ago, the Adams Jenkins Community Sports and Music Complex, our home arena for our men's and women's basketball programs, as well as our volleyball program. And beginning in spring 2022, got to mention this, men's volleyball coming to Edward Waters College. So we're very, very excited about that aspect of it coming to EWC. But there have been some renovations there at the gym. We got our new bleachers that those have been coming in, that have come in and have been installed, and they look absolutely beautiful. We're very, very excited about that. You guys have been to the gym a lot in your time of working with EWC, with broadcasting games, and you saw the condition of the bleachers and things like that. But when you've got visionary leadership like Dr. Paul Bryant and Dr. Faison, seeing a need, addressing the need, and getting it done quickly is something that they were able to do, and we were able to show that off, and we're very, very excited about that. There are a lot of other things that we're going to do, kind of, some more graphics and things like that on the walls. The foyer of the AJC is going to be painted. There have been some renovations to our weight room, so there's some new equipment and things like that in there. Future renovations to our training facilities, renovations that are ongoing right now with our men's basketball locker room, women's basketball right around the corner. We've got that going on. We have our auxiliary gym over in the James Weldon Johnson building that houses our soccer and our softball program, there. There have been some renovations there. Those renovations are absolutely gorgeous. Our off-site facilities with our baseball field. Last year, they got some new locker rooms there at James P. Small Memorial Baseball Park over in the Durkeeville community here in Jacksonville. Our softball field, Nipsam Softball Park over on Richardson Road, about less than a mile from campus. They've had some renovations in here in the past couple of years with some bleachers that have been renovated, new school boards, and just really making it more of an inviting feel for our softball program. So facilities are really key for where it is that we ultimately want to go with the program. And again, when you've got visionary leadership like we have, things have been going well. And, we had a meeting today that some more facilities upgrades could be coming here in the future. Can't divulge those as of yet, of course, but, we're really, really excited with what's going to be coming for Edward Waters College, or from Edward Waters College athletics in terms of facilities.
Now, Josh, we're recording this on a Wednesday. We all know what happened a week prior to us recording this. What was some of the reactions that you saw on campus from some of the students and some of the other people there on campus to what we all saw play out on national TV
Well,
a week ago?
and just some of the dealings that I've had with my student athletes is really, there have been some instances of shock, but there also have been some instances in really not being surprised. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. We're actually just getting back to campus. Our first full day back was actually on Monday. So I got a chance to talk with a couple of student athletes and, kind of pick their brain about some things. And, it's unfortunate the state of affairs that our country is in right now. Just me speaking personally, it's just crazy. It just kind of seems like, a bunch of people are throwing a temper tantrum over something because of the fact that they can't get their own way. And that's unfortunate. It's when you think about it, it really, really is unfortunate. And it's just one of those things that, are we going to come together as a country, or are we going to be divided? And ultimately it becomes a civil war type of situation. We have the power to decide what direction we want to go in, and pray God we make the right direction, right decision, because, I don't have any children personally, but I do have a 10-year-old niece. And I think about the things that she's seeing, and I'm just like, is this the world that I want her to see, and what I want her to grow up in? She's thinking that everything is, incense and peppermints and rainbows and roses and things like that. But, unfortunately, when you're seeing things like this, you see that the world is not nice, and it's just a matter of, what are you going to do? How are you going to react to it? How are you going to affect positive change in your everyday life? And I think everybody in this country has a responsibility to pull their own weight to really make this that city on a hill, that land of milk and honey that people talk about all the time when they refer to the United States of America. So I pray about this every single night. My television's been glued to CNN, to get the latest updates and things like that. But I really, really hope and really, really pray that we really begin to be what our name is, the United States of America. That's everybody. That's Black, that's white, that's Hispanic, Asian, Muslim, whatever. Let's truly do what we need to do so we can actually be what our name says.
I think we need to pass the plate around one more time because the Reverend has just preached. Go ahead, Bryan.
No, well said. No, and sometimes you're in a place of an education place, a place of education rather, and so it's interesting hearing how young people perceive. I mean, even at the college level, I actually teach at a much younger level, and so even they see it. So even middle school students, they see what's going on, don't really know how to process it, all of them. So but they see it, and so they're watching us adults.
Bryan, I'm the oldest person on this podcast. I don't know how to process it all right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I wanted to say also compliment you guys, Josh. One of the things that I have enjoyed watching on the Twitter feed at EWC Athletics is the video production work of the stadium renovations. And one day I just happened to be, I don't know why, I was just sitting here and I felt like I missed an update somewhere, because usually I was watching updates almost every week. You guys are putting something out. And I just stumbled across it was probably one of the last ones. It starts in real close on the logo, and it's probably a drone shot, and it zooms out, and it shows just everything. And I think I called maybe our Roy, our friend Roy, and I called somebody, and I'm like, dude, have you seen this stadium? I mean, this is dope. So props to, I don't know whoever puts that together, but you guys, that is fun. And I'm sure you guys have gotten a lot of great comments and feedback from that.
We really, really have. That's really a combined effort with myself and a few interns that we have here on excuse me at EWC to really put everything together. So we're really excited. We're really, really excited about the direction that our program is going. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from our alums, especially. The one thing that I really enjoy hearing from, and I love hearing from everyone, and I love hearing from our alums, but the guys that have played football at Edward Waters College, I really enjoy hearing back from them because, they've been a part of those really lean years, those trying years, those years where, you're not having that much success and things that have happened. You didn't necessarily have the best facilities. They were dressing in an old trailer that had mold in it and things like that. And within the past few years, being able to move over to our new football field house and being able to hear from those guys, especially the guys that, the 2001 class, when Edward Waters brought back football in 2001 after a 34-year hiatus. I love hearing from those guys and seeing when they come on campus and seeing what they help build. And that's what I tell these guys all the time. Your blood, your sweat, your tears, those days where you're practicing in the hot Jacksonville sun, when you're practicing on a practice field that had, glass in it and you're here, all those things that have happened, and you're practicing in, old dilapidated jerseys and things like that. Look at what your progress did. Look at what your work did. We're really standing on the shoulders of a lot of giants, and we're really happy with where it is we are right now. But I'm really appreciative of what those guys have done, the groundwork that they laid to put us where we're at right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys manage, definitely keep those guys in your thoughts and future plans, because that, like you said, when you talk about where facilities were to where they are and what they will be, it's very encouraging, and it should really, they're going to be on par with a lot of programs at that level, maybe even better than some programs at levels above what EWC will be playing in.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
Let's get into a little basketball talk, because the season's going on. And one of the things that, and Drew and I haven't, we've talked about it, but we haven't dug deep into it. So it's good that we've got you here. The GCAC is doing this sort of a pod, or I don't know if it's truly a bubble, but they're doing men's a roundup is what it's called. I'm sorry. I know that's the name I saw on the website. They're doing these roundups the men are in Talladega at Talladega College. And the women are in New Orleans at Xavier University, and they're playing, I believe, at least they're trying to play 3 games over 4 days. What's the background on how that came about, and will we see more of those? I don't know if I see any more of those on the schedule, but
They've got one in February.
they got one in February. But it's a great idea. How do you think all that? I mean, what spurred that on? Was it just COVID or a need to try to keep everybody safe? What?
Both. That definitely, as I mentioned at the top of our interview, that COVID really dictated a lot of where we are right now. And it was a lot of work between all the athletic directors in the conference, and we had some great ones there in the conference with Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes at Dillard, who's the GCAC commissioner, Jason Horn at Xavier, Keith Barnes at Tougaloo, Kevin Harrod at Talladega, all the guys there at Philander Smith, Ishmael Edwards and Stanley Stubbs at Rust. I may be missing one off the top of my head, but we've got some great athletic directors, and they really, they came together and they had to put their heads together to really try to figure out how are we going to get this thing off the ground, because when you talk to an athlete, they want to play. They want to be able to go out and play, but unfortunately, in the conference that we're in, there are some areas that are considered hot spots, others are not, and really they wanted to be able to get into a situation where you kind of saw in other areas in other conferences, having to be flexible, having to adjust some things so that you can be able to get your conference season off the ground and really get some things going. And they came up with the concept of a bubble situation, or as we called it, a roundup, where we would send our student athletes or our respective teams to one designated location. They have been tested multiple times prior to going to that location. They're in that bubble. And they're able to do those things. And yes, they're playing 3 games in 4 days. Each team is playing 3 games in a 4-day span. As you mentioned a few moments ago, the men right now are in Talladega at the new Billy Hawkins Center there on campus in Talladega. The women are in New Orleans at the Convocation Center in Xavier. In February, they'll flip-flop. The women will be in Talladega and the men will be at Xavier. So it's a great concept. It's something that definitely was needed because our players, they want to be able to play. The conference championships structure will remain the same, where the top 4 seeds will be able to host a first round a game, and the championships will be held actually here in Jacksonville again. The semifinals and finals will be held in Jacksonville here in February and March. So we're excited, definitely happy that we're able to get this done, and we've seen some pretty good basketball here, and what's something to be expected here in this great conference.
All right, Josh. Obviously, like you said, COVID has dictated a lot of things that are surrounding athletics and specifically basketball, since that's the in-season sport right now. The one thing that it has dictated is, we thought it was going to silence your voice as the public address announcer there in the Adams Jenkins Center, but it did not take your voice away, because you have gone from the public address announcer to the play-by-play person this year. And of course, you've done football play-by-play for Edward Waters for years. So just kind of talk about how different it is from you used to doing the public address to now switching over to play-by-play for basketball, number one, and then doing all of that in an empty arena.
It is, well, anybody that honestly knows me knows that my first love is play-by-play. I love strapping on a headset and calling a game. I love public address. I really enjoy doing the public address. But there's something about a play-by-play guy. I grew up with some great play-by-play guys. A couple of my idols. One, I worked very closely with him, and he basically taught me while I was at Florida A&M. That's the great Keith Miles. And of course, my favorite, play-by-play guy of all time is the great Gene Deckerhoff at Florida State. I grew up with great play-by-play, radio play-by-play, television play-by-play. Of course, my favorite team, and we're coming back, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm a huge Jaguar fan. I grew up listening to Brian Sexton on the radio, and I've always been gravitated and drawn to doing play-by. Those guys made me want to strap on a headset and do play-by-play. I'm a guy that mutes the television and I call my own play-by-play. So it really was when my athletic director and the person that really spurred this on, because I had my heart set on, just doing the public address in an empty arena. and just doing a video, having our video do the live stream. But the person that really spurred this on was our head men's basketball coach Fred Summers. He's like, I want you to do the play-by-play. I need for you to do the play-by-play. And I was just like, okay, I can do that now. I've done basketball play-by-play before, but I haven't done this many basketball games before. As you mentioned a few moments ago, I'm used to doing a football play-by-play. It's kind of old hat for me now, but I love it. But, to have that challenge and have another thing under my belt, I'm just thankful of the fact that, my athletic director and our basketball coaches trust me to be able to provide great play-by-play for our great fans, and I'm talking to a couple of great broadcasters yourselves. I mean, you guys do great work. Bryan and A.D, I worked with you for a couple of years now. You guys do great work. So, I just kind of, take a couple of things here and there to kind of make it my own style and things like that, but it's really fun. And we've gotten great feedback on it. And I'm happy with what it is that we've been able to put out, and the response that we're getting from it. And we've had some great views. The numbers that we're getting, when you're seeing 200, 300, 400 views on a basketball broadcast, and of course COVID being what it is, it's kind of brought us to where we are. But to still even see that, for people to take time to want to watch our basketball games, see our student athletes do what they do best. And, with the response that we've been getting on our play-by-play broadcast, I have a couple of great interns that really help us out with that. Chandra Bethay, Lisha Henry, who's a member of our women's basketball team, has stepped up and helped us out. Paul Bryant Jr., the AD's son, has come out and helped out with filming a few games. So I really just have a great team, and we're really just happy with what it is that we've been able to put out in the couple of broadcasts that we've had.
Well, I will say this, I want to thank you all for at least putting you over on the play-by-play, because there are some schools, all they do is they've got the camera going, they've got the score, they've got everything else, but you really don't know what's going on outside that occasional voice that you hear. So, and I'm gonna be honest, I love basketball. I can watch basketball all day, but when I don't have a child or a player vested that I'm watching, I need that play-by-play person to guide me through that game. I can only watch so much of it before my attention span is just gonna go to something else when I'm just watching a video, because I'm not coaching anymore. I don't need to break film down anymore.
and Josh, talk about it, because
right.
you're doing that by yourself. What's the challenge? I know a lot of times when Drew and I, or you and I, done things, it's really a kind of a two-man where you're able to work off of somebody. What's that like? Or how do you keep the audience involved as a single person calling the game?
It's something I'm used to, because on the road during football, I'm broadcasting games by myself anyway. Okay. It's always great to have a color guy. It's always great to be able to have a conversation about the game. For people to be able to enjoy our broadcast and things like that. So, but when you're broadcasting games by yourself, you have to find things to fill. You have to be able to spurt out statistics at the drop of the hat. Talk about things surrounding a game. Where a particular student athlete is from, what they've done outside of basketball, maybe a funny joke here and there. I don't necessarily think I'm the funniest guy in the world, but I think I'm all right, but, try to find things to fill. So it is a bit of a challenge, but, like I said, I've done it before. I've broadcasted games before by myself. I've tried to get my athletic director, who is a fantastic a basketball player in his own right, to come on and do a color with me, but he's up in the 80s box doing his thing. I'm not trying to interfere with that. You got a lot going on. You're entertaining people. Hey, boss, do what you do. So but despite all of that, I really enjoy it. It is challenging, but hey, I'm up for the challenge, and I really enjoy it.
Let's quickly get into talking a little bit about this, the men and the women's conference. Obviously, it's real early in the season. So we'll kind of start with the men. As I was just looking at the standings, and I'm on the GCAC onf.com. So anyone that is interested in the GCAC, again, that's GCAconf.com. And that is the GCAC's athletic page, or let me say that right, Gulf Coast Athletic Conference webpage. I always get the acronyms all screwed up. So on the men's side, Talladega has, obviously they are number one in our BCSN rankings right now. They played 14 games. First off, does that just amaze you when you think in everything going on that they've been able to get 14 games in?
Yeah, it is, because there are certain schools that have only played like 2 or 3 games, or certain schools maybe haven't played any games because of COVID. So it's really amazing how they've been able to have the schedule, and they played some really good teams. You know, they when you look at their schedule, they've played some solid programs. They just a couple of weeks ago played in a tournament. They played the number 5 team in the country in Arizona Christian. Unfortunately lost that game, came back and played and beat a good William Woods ball club. So it's amazing what Chris Wright and those guys have been able to do, to be able to put together that many games. And really, they're a good team. They have earned the right to be number one, and have earned the right to be ranked in the NAIA top 25.
Right. And while they've played 14 games, on the flip side within the conference, Dillard and Tougaloo are just now getting their games off the ground. Both of them have played 2 games. Dillard's off to a quick 2-0 start. Tougaloo not so good, 0-2 in the first 2 games. So that there's sort of that dynamic that you were talking about 14 games versus 2. Coming out of the chute, Xavier, we already 3-0 within the conference. Talladega 2-0, Dillard 2-0. Where do you see EWC falling in the mix of this conference? What is your analysis or take, given what we've seen just on the early part of this conference and just in the season overall?
Yeah, well, hopefully we can, get back into the mix. When you start a year 0-2 and you're only playing 6 games, you kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball. In a normal year, when you're playing everybody twice, you can drop 2 games and you'll still be okay. But you don't have that luxury to fall behind, to fall 0-2 in the conference. So hopefully we'll be able to get things in gear. We lost against a tough. I mentioned about Talladega a few moments ago. Talladega, we were up 20-9 in the first, say 8 or 9 minutes of the ball game. Came from ahead to lose that game yesterday. And today, as we're speaking here on Wednesday, we ran into a buzzsaw today against a much improved Russ College Ball Club. Russ was picked dead last in the conference, and they gave they came close to winning their first contest, their first conference game of the year. Dropped that one by 3 to Talladega, and yesterday or today I should say, they knocked us off. So they're a good ball club. Russ is a much improved ball club with Ed Newton and those guys have been able to put together there in Holly Springs, Mississippi. So hopefully our guys can, kind of get things back in gear. But the one thing about it with the loss today, today being Wednesday, you can't turn the ball over 20 times and expect to win a ball game. You can't fall behind by 19 and expect to come back. You can't shoot under just over 35% in the first half of the game and expect to come back and win a ball game. You got to find a way to make shots, make easy shots. You can't turn the basketball over. You got to find a way to hang on to the basketball, and that's been EWC's Achilles heel over the past couple of games here in the bubble. So hopefully they'll be able to regroup and come out better tomorrow on Thursday against a good Tougaloo ball club.
All right, Josh. Before we get into the women, and footnote, Edward Waters is currently number 5 in the BCSN small school men's rankings right now. But before we get into that, talk about that new schedule format and what the conference has said they're going to do if they don't get all of the games in, how that's going to affect the seeding going into the tournament?
Well, there are provisional dates and things like that where they can be able to kind of reschedule games and things like that. Dillard, unfortunately, on the women's side, was not able to make it to the bubble there in New Orleans. So there's going to be some rearrangings and some reshuffling and things like that happen. And luckily they have dates built into the schedule, into the conference schedule, that will allow for those games to be made up and to be played. So they've pretty much taken care of just about every contingency you can possibly think of when it comes to this conference schedule. So definitely, again, as I mentioned a few moments ago, hats off to really our leadership in the conference with Dr. Baker Barnes and all of the great athletic directors in the conference to be able to put their heads together and come up with a great schedule to be able to get these games in so we can crown a champion and send someone to the conference tournament.
All right, now let's.
I should say.
Sorry about that. Now let's get into the women. Talladega on the women's side, off to a fantastic start. Russ, off to a fantastic start. Xavier, off to a pretty good start, and then it's kind of everybody else is kind of there in a big cloud. So kind of talk about where you see Edward Waters on the women's side of the picture.
Well, if they play anything like they played today, they could be a team that it could be a fun February in Jacksonville. As we've seen over a couple of years back to back, Edward Waters had made it to the conference championship game and only to be the bridesmaid and never the bride. But if they're able to play like they played today against, let me tell you, what Eric Jackson Jr. has been able to do there at Rust on the women's side has been nothing short of fantastic. They, unfortunately, with COVID being what it was, they had an opportunity to get an at-large bid to the NAIA National Tournament. So getting a win today in overtime, in an overtime thriller over Rust, was definitely needed for this EWC ball club that I think has been kind of struggling to find an identity up until this point today. As I mentioned to anybody that'll listen to me when I talk about EWC women's basketball, and you've seen the Lady Tigers in your times of working with us at EWC. One thing that head coach Charmaine Wilson loves to do, she loves to press you, and she loves to turn the ball over on you, and she wants to be able to get up and down the floor as quickly as humanly possible and play at breakneck speed. And sometimes you had to be able to do that because you didn't necessarily have the size that you commit to have to be able to combat a lot of those things that have happened in the past. And, unfortunately, in years past, we've been really getting beat inside. That's one of the things that Coach Wilson and our new assistant coach there and Coach Jones really did this offseason was really wanted to get a lot bigger inside. And I think with what they've been able to do to go out and get someone like an Amari Bell, who had a fantastic game today against Rust, getting that big 6'2", 6'3" presence inside, scoring 20-plus points, getting 14 rebounds against a good Rust ball club, getting an Amani Dockery as well to help out inside, to help out with what we have with, a LaQuanza Glover, a Shaquanza Brown, and some of those young ladies that have been returning to kind of take up the scoring slack that we don't have now with Mia late graduating last year. Got a chance to talk with Coach Wilson prior to our first game of the season against UAB, and she kind of likes this kind of basketball where, you don't have one person that's scoring, 20, 30 points a game where the load can be shared. But as I mentioned a few moments ago, EWC was really trying to find their identity and really get used to this big lineup that Edward Waters has now. And I think they kind of found something here with Amari Bell, with what she's been able to do, to be able to help out with what LaQuanza's been able to do and what Shaquanza's been able to do. So if they're able to really take this to another level with being able to get into that upper echelon, they've been kind of middle of the pack for the past few years. If they can really get to that, consistently get to that upper echelon with where Talladega has been in the past, with where Dillard has been in previous seasons, where Rust is, if you can kind of break into that upper echelon, break that glass ceiling, and finally bring what we call the gold ball home to Jacksonville, it's going to make for a very, very fun February.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, we were just talking about that earlier, what Rush College is doing on the women's level this season, totally unexpected, at least from our preseason look at what we expected. The fact that the win, and of course today we're recording it on a Wednesday, and EWC comes up with an overtime victory over Russ, 72-66. That being Russ' first loss of the season. They had won 6 in a row coming into that contest, and were trying to basically sweep their 3 games. I mean, they basically played 3 games, and this was the 3rd game in 3 days for them, if I'm not mistaken, for Rust. So, it was good to see the Lady Tigers kind of get that win. That was a good win against a good team. And like you said, now it sets them up. Who do they have? Who are the men and women playing tomorrow, Josh?
The men will take on Tougaloo tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. The women will take on, because they're originally scheduled to take on Tougaloo as well, but unfortunately Tougaloo did not make it to the New Orleans bubble as well. So conference rearranged things. Edward Waters will play Xavier tomorrow in a rematch of the GCAC first round contest from last year in Jacksonville that Xavier won in that 4-5 matchup. So EWC will take on Xavier on Xavier's home floor tomorrow, also at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central.
Okay. All right. So we'll be looking for that. And before we let you out of here, you dropped a little nugget about football. And, it's one of the things that, obviously the end of the fall football season concluded on Monday. We've had the SWAC have their media days, which I feel like kind of kicks off this whole spring football season for a lot of people, because I think they're the first FCS conference to have their media day. What news can you share with us about what EWC is planning as it relates to football in the fall or in the spring? Excuse me.
I can't say too much. Of course, there has been news over the past few months that Edward Waters will play Jackson State on February 21st over in Jackson, Mississippi. So yes, we will be taking on that guy and Coach Sanders.
On what day?
Yeah, February 21st.
Oh, well, interesting day, the 21st, huh? Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
So that's officially Deion's first game.
That is officially Deion's first game. So
interesting date.
So we're getting ready for that. We're very, very excited about that opportunity to be able to showcase our program on a national stage. So we're excited about that. We're going to play a few more games this season. So we are the spring season. So as I mentioned a few moments ago, hopefully we'll be able to release a schedule here in the next couple of days to 2 weeks, so that way our fans can be abreast of our football program. But we're really, really excited with what Coach Ruffin's been able to do. It's been a weird year for everyone. It's been a weird year for Coach Ruffin with being able to, keep guys and be able to go out and recruit guys and bring guys in. But we're really excited about the direction of this football program. So, and especially with the new nugget that he has now to be able to go out and say, hey, I got a stadium on campus now. I've got a beautiful new stadium here on campus. And, it's really helped out with our recruiting. So we're excited about the young men that Coach Ruffin has brought in, and we're expecting some big things here in the spring, and hopefully that can be able to springboard us into what we're expecting to be a really fantastic fall.
All right. Well, hey, Josh, look, you've been great with your time with us, and I know you got other things that you have to do. Let people know how they can find you, how they can find EWC on social media and on the web. Give the plugs. Let people know.
Well, for Edward Waters, I'll plug Edward Waters first. They pay the bills. You can find EWC Athletics online at EWCTigerPride.com. Again, that's EWCTigerPride.com. That's our official website of Edward Waters College Athletics. You can also find us on Facebook at a search for Edward Waters College Athletics. You can also find us on both Twitter and Instagram using the handle EWC Athletics. So we're everywhere. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look for Edward Waters College Athletics. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us out there. Me personally, you can find me on my Twitter page at JCJackson904. You can find me on Instagram at JacksVoice904. And you can look for me on Facebook. Just search my name, Joshua C. Jackson. I'll accept you. I'll say hi, all that stuff. So that's where you can find EWC and where you can find me.
Beautiful. Hey, Josh, man, you guys, be safe up there in Jacksonville, and good luck. And, we're following. We're always following and plugging EWC whenever we can. We appreciate everybody up there for, being a part of what we do, and we're glad to be able to promote EWC whenever we can. And so we hope.
We just missed the hospitality though from coming down there all the time.
Yeah, definitely. But looking forward to what you guys do in the spring, and we'll be following definitely the basketball action out there in Talladega and New Orleans. So, Josh, appreciate your time, my brother. Thank you.
Guys, thanks. Real quick, I gotta say, man, and I don't know if you guys hear this a lot, but thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, A.D, Roy, all you guys at BCSN, we really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us. So thank you very much. You guys be safe where you are, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Means a lot, Josh. All right, when we come back after this, we're going to get into talking a little more football and a little more basketball. You're watching and listening to the BCSN Sportwrap with Bryan and A.D. We'll be back right after these words.
But my beats, they are hard.